Good afternoon. It is Friday, March 19th, 2021. Welcome to 7 to 9 Minutes in the New Testament letter of James. My name is Brian. I'm one of the co pastors at Converge Church in Omaha. Our webpage is convergechurchomaha.org. You could also like us at the Facebook Converge Church page. We'd appreciate that. If later you're viewing this on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel named 7 to 9 Minutes in the Word of God. Today, we're going to be in James chapter 3, beginning in verse 13. And in verses 13 to 18, James, the half brother of Jesus, will distinguish between the wisdom that is from above, namely wisdom from God, and the wisdom that is from below, namely from earth, from people, and even Satan. So, put it another way, there's a difference between spiritual wisdom and earthly or unspiritual wisdom. And we're going to look at that today. So, we're in, again, James chapter 3, beginning in verse 13. So, if you have a Bible or a Bible app, you can follow along. And I'm just going to go verse by verse and we'll get through this passage. So, James begins in verse 13 with a question: Who is wise and understanding among you? Now, keep in mind that James is addressing the church. So, among church members, who is wise and understanding among you? The last half of verse 13 is the answer. It says, By his good conduct, let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. So, right away, we see that wisdom is not just intellectual, there's a behavioral side to it as well. Our good conduct will reveal that it was behavior in the meekness of wisdom. Kind of an awkward statement there, but it's a meekness in the sense of trusting God and letting go of our own self promotion. We seek God's wisdom rather than our own promotion. And speaking of self promotion, verse 14 says, But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. So if there's bitter jealousy in our hearts, if there's selfish ambition, and the irony of this, that most selfish people don't even know they're selfish or they're jealous. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, then don't boast, because that boasting will be destructive to any group, because such people are seeking self promotion and prestige. And so James gives a further description of this in verse 15. He says, This is not the wisdom that comes from above. So you see the contrast: wisdom from above and wisdom below. This is not the wisdom that comes from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. So this wisdom from below is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. There is a progression from the bad to worse. From the wisdom is earthbound. It's much more sensual than spiritual, and its origin is from Satan and from the powers of darkness. And verse 16 tells us that such wisdom can be very, very harmful and destructive. Verse 16 says, For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. You know, we all probably know people or person who is toxic. They just bring poison into the room, maybe into every relationship. It's because their wisdom is not from above. It's an earthly, unspiritual, demonic wisdom. And then their self promoting words will result in division, destruction, broken relationships, uh, Satan driven conflict. And unfortunately, this can happen in a church. Keep in mind that James is addressing the church. I've been a pastor since 1983, 2 years as a youth pastor, then over 35 years as a senior pastor. And I've seen how this earthly wisdom can lead to church divisions, broken relationships, bitterness, the firing of pastors, unforgiveness, church splits, gossip, slander, nasty, mean emails, and many times just giving a local church a black eye and a tarnished testimony in the community. Now, in verse 17, James will describe wisdom which is from above, which is in sharp contrast to the earthly wisdom. And so, verse 17, but the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy, good fruits, impartial, and sincere. So the spiritual wisdom from above is the answer to the disorder of earthly, to the disorder that the earthly wisdom brings about. Wisdom from above will produce life-giving qualities. It begins with purity, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy, good fruits, impartial, and sincere. And it will end with peace, according to verse 18. And it says, and a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Let me read that again. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So instead of chaos, instead of division in the church, there will be peace. And that peace will go hand in hand with a harvest of righteousness. In other words, when the local church community is seeking wisdom from above, then it will not only lead to healthy, peaceful community, but there will be a harvest of righteousness, a community of healthy, life-giving relationships, life-giving, encouraging, building up conversations, a genuine concern and care for one another, and a passion to reach those who need Jesus. And in our nation now, we need churches like this. We need Christians like this. There's so much division and anger in our nation. The church has to lead the way, to have a church of life-giving conversations, healthy relationships, a genuine love and concern for one another, and a passion to reach those who need Jesus. And so I want to encourage you to seek the wisdom that is from above. It's from God. It's found in the Word of God, the Bible. I encourage you to keep reading the Bible and studying it. Hear good preaching and teaching. Allow the Word of God to be immersed in absorbed by your heart and your mind. Now, next time we get together, I'm going to come back to this passage and especially verses 17 and 18 and go deeper into those life-giving qualities of wisdom. Let me read that again to you. The wisdom from above is first pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy, good fruits, impartial, sincere, and that will lead to peace and a harvest of righteousness. I want to thank you for joining me in this 7 to 9 minutes in the book of James. This video will soon be posted on my YouTube channel called 7 to 9 Minutes in the Word of God. If you have any questions about what we went through today, any questions on what it means to follow Jesus, please message me. I would love to dialogue with you. Have any prayer requests as well. I'll be happy and honored to pray for you. So go ahead and pass those along to me as well. And until next week, until next time, I hope you have a great weekend and the Lord bless you.